Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Last Best Hope for Conversation, your Babylon 5 podcast. We're just walking around, listening to some music, and we're going to talk about Walkabout. Joining me in the bar, and it's my turn to buy, is Karen
Hi, everyone.
and Lou.
Hello, everyone. Where's Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah, exactly. Now that's a microphone.
That's not a microphone.
Yeah, we are talking Walkabout. It is the 18th episode of season 3. It originally aired September 30th, 1996. As a couple people mentioned in our feedback, this episode was originally supposed to air before the two-parter,
World Without
but
End.
that would have meant that the second part would have not been during sweeps and there would have been a delay, so they switched it around. Stravinsky was asked, was he going to change it on the TNT when they reissued? And he goes, nah, it really wasn't that big of a change for him. But just in context, this was supposed to happen before they did the return to Babylon 4 and all the big reveals from that.
That answers one of my questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was meant to come right after him resigning then, instead of waiting. Okay.
Yeah. Which I actually think having him delayed a little bit works
Yeah,
better,
I agree.
right?
I agree.
Yeah.
In one
He's
way.
already on his path.
In another way, it
Instead of
doesn't
just
work.
not.
But
The other thing I
agree.
think is I remember early there was a discussion, it was David Gerard in his The World of Star Trek book that said that the problem with the transporter is Kirk can say, Scotty, get my ass out of here, I'm in trouble, and done, you're gone, right? In a little bit, I was like, oh, it's pretty convenient. You can go back to your quarters very quickly, or you can get to Med Lab very quickly. But I guess the space station is only so big. Even though they talk about how 250,000 people, it's still, you can get there with the lifts and all that stuff.
The thing I did wonder about real quick, since we're talking about that, is we know there's more than one med lab.
Yeah.
So was there a closer med lab, or did he have to go all the way? Because we know he went back to med lab 1.
And I think the implication was they were in his quarters when he brought her to spend the night.
There you go.
I believe it was his quarters instead of
okay.
Yeah. So that would have been closer.
Yeah. The summary says it's her quarters.
Oh, okay. All right. So that maybe could be. All right. Yeah. So we've really already started, but Karen, quick thoughts on this one.
It's a little bit of a letdown from World Without End. And as you guys know, and mark your bingo card, I'm not a huge fan of Franklin, but I thought the story was better than some of his other stories. And we did get a lot of plot points moving the war with the shadows forward. So I thought that was good. Seeing Lita Hall back again, it made a lot of sense. And we get the new Kosh. So pretty cool, I thought.
Okay. Lou?
Yeah, I pretty well echo what Karen said. And your explanation of the ordering of these episodes removes one of my biggest complaints, was lack of Garibaldi's follow-up from the previous 2 episodes. He's not even thinking about the fact that Sheridan or Sinclair is gone, and that I was waiting for that. And I don't know if that's coming in the next episode either, though, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But point bothers me more with a series like this because it's serialized, so you would expect each episode would build on the previous ones. When that doesn't happen, there's a bit of a disconnect there. But the rest of the episode was okay. Still not a big fan of the other telepath that they have. So those parts of the episode could have been better. They are what they are. Come to know the range of that actor, so I wasn't surprised or anything by what happened while she was on the screen. So yeah, it's okay.
It'll be interesting because she's, for 4 and 5, she's a full-time regular.
Wow.
So it'll be interesting to see your journey with her.
Mm.
I'm a big fan just because I read her book and she had a dual career. She's also been a stunt woman on a
Oh,
lot
yes.
of
You
Star
mentioned that
Trek.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a big fan. All right, let's we've already talked a little bit about Dr. Franklin. So let's stick with that storyline and then we'll talk to the new Kosh and the going against the shadows. All right, Franklin tells a theory that he talks again that he's a member of the Foundation religion, which obviously has to be a big nod to Isaac Asimov, and the idea that, and they give full credit to the Australian, is that you walk till you find yourself, and then you talk till you've run out of things to say, and then you find yourself. And I think back to the the Buffy episode Hush, where there's no dialogue. And I remember Josh Whedon at the time saying that talking is how you lie. And once you stop talking, you find truth. So I thought that was an interesting discussion. So I'm going to stick with you, Lou. Your thoughts on this and our guest star, which made me smile because I loved her on the TV show Fame. And she recently it was a co-star in the God Friended Me, which only lasted a couple of years, but it was a modern version of the Highway to Heaven,
Hmm.
where but with this kind of a modern twist of he kept having to fix things, almost a quantum leap. And
Right.
she played a character that dated the main character's father.
I thought it
So
was more like Joan of Arcadia,
yeah,
kind
I
of.
think easily. It was a show I thought was a really good for a Sunday evening. I just enjoyed the show a lot.
Yeah.
Really good cast. So Lou, thoughts on God Friended Me or this episode?
The walkabout idea is not a new one in
Mhm.
literature. It goes back to the Bible when
Yeah.
Jesus went into the desert for 40 days, and it's something that I think is an interesting concept. It's getting rid of all your worldly possessions and concerns and getting rid of all the stuff that we carry around on a day to day. And in today's world, it might not be a bad exercise for the whole world to go on a walkabout.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting concept. And even though Babylon 5's pretty big, it's 5 miles long, apparently. I don't know how much walking you could do to simulate the going on a real walkabout, like on a planet or something like that. And it's just, there's always an element of isolation with walkabouts, and where he's like constantly surrounded by people. So I don't really think that he could attain that state of awareness that he's looking to get. So that was a little weird to me, because what he really should have done is what Sheridan did. He should have gone out in a spacesuit and walked around the outside of Babylon 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was a cool shot, by the way. But yeah, I understood the concept of it. I was wondering how he was doing with the stims. Is there no period of withdrawal from that? It just seems like he stopped cold turkey and there's no side effects from that. That was a question I was surprised wasn't maybe at least touched briefly upon. And as far as the girl that showed up, a wonderful actor, very vibrant. She has a great singing voice too. I thought the music's not my kind of music, but I had no problem with what she was singing. I thought she did a fantastic job with it. And it allowed us to see a different side of Franklin, but like Karen said, he's still not a character that I've ever warmed up to. His walkabout turned into something else, I guess you could say. So it was more of a lie about. But yeah, so I thought I wouldn't have minded her being a regular on the show, to be honest. She would have made a good telepath, I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I think about all that stuff.
All right, Karen.
Subtle dig at Lita.
Oh, you picked up on that, did you?
Yeah, I did. I'm going to preface this with a boring thing. When I was in school, I did reports on Greece and Australia.
Okay.
So in my mind, I have a fondness for those two countries. And Australia in particular, I've always wanted to visit. And Walkabout as a concept is a huge deal in Aboriginal Australia. It's like the seeking part of your soul to transition a young man into manhood. And I would like to think that's what they were going here, to transition him into a more solid sort of self, a more grounded person. And it's something that now the meaning's a little different. It just means you go into the bush to find yourself. Australia is much bigger than 5 miles. In the bush, you can walk forever and never see signs of anyone else. And just having him walk around down under, seeing him like eat candy or whatever and look at all the stalls, he's going to the market essentially. But I get where they were going. He is isolating himself from what he knows and trying to find himself. In that sense, I guess he's going on Walkabout. And I would like to think that he becomes a better person for it. And yeah, I was also thinking, is he jonesing for the stims? I do the fact that they emphasized he would not get narcotics for her because of his experience with stims. And I think that his encounter with his one-night stand, that is more of a transformative experience for him than his actual going Walkabout, because that, I think, made him look more inward than like browsing the stalls and buying stuff and thinking he's talking to himself when really he's just meandering. So I think it was important for him to meet her, and her whole goal was to give people hope, which was a big deal once he found out that she was ill, that she's not going to let it affect her. She's not going to go for any kind of treatment. She's trying very hard to get these pills that allow her to sleep, or whatever it is, medicine to help her sleep. And I thought that was also very prescient with the narcotics issues we have.
Yeah.
Where some people do need narcotics, and it's very difficult to get them if you need them, if you're in real pain. So I thought that was interesting too. It showed the morality of taking narcotics versus just being on stims like Franklin was, abusing them. And I think that made him see things in a different light, to see that she actually needed the medicine. And he thought he was taking a moral high ground by not allowing her to have them, when really she was the one with the better morality. So I do think there were bigger implications in that storyline than you could see on the surface. And for me, not liking Franklin, I think it was a hindrance to me until I watched it a second time. And I could get rid of those thoughts in my head of whatever, what is he doing? And I could really see things for what they were, his encounters and all that. I do think he was phoning it in. He wasn't really going on Walkabout, but I do think the encounter with Kaylin, I think that helped more than anything else. I like to see where that goes, where he takes that, knowing that he was abusing stims and how it affected the people around him.
Yeah, so my thought was, yes, I guess you could say he's doing the tour of all the shopping malls in Babylon 5. But I think the idea is of getting out of the routine, right? So he's and also he's not suffering, right? Like he has his identity card. He has money in the bank. My thought was, right, there's a good thing he wasn't spending much money anyway when they were getting paid. They're no longer getting paid from Earth, but I'm sure he has plenty of credits in the bank. And so he's just trying to break up the routine.
Walkabout means you're isolated with just yourself, and he's definitely not.
Yeah, but he is staying away from the people he knows and the routine he's doing. And the other thing I think is really important is Franklin is always in the same way. He's similar to Garibaldi. he always has a strong opinion. For example, you are too good to sing in these types of places. He's a snob in that way. No, I can't get you this. And versus she's saying, no, these are the actual people I should be singing for. They've gone here. So I think maybe this will teach him. I do think I was like, you just leaving her? I realized it was just a one night stand, but you seem to have a connection, maybe taking care of someone else, but maybe that is the whole problem is he spends too much time taking care of people, not taking care of himself. Anyway, I thought it was a nice, and I wonder she's a one-off, so we won't know. I assume they didn't send her away because she was singing again. And
make sure she gets the
yeah,
medicine she needs, which
yeah,
is
and so I thought that it was a nice little storyline that tells him he's trying to go. I tried to Google while you guys were talking. I have not seen on a message board anyone speculating how long it takes to kick Sims. A lot of people like it normally takes 21 days to do a habit. So I wonder if was he physically or more mentally addicted to it? I don't know. I don't know if there are withdrawals in that, but I guess he's done enough that it's been long enough now. But yeah, I think I did love Garibaldi. Yeah, you've got a trail. You're using your credit card. I just went, the next stop and found him. So I think it was I think it was an okay storyline made much better by the guest actress. I just think she did really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that storyline would have fallen flat.
And every time I see Garibaldi out of uniform and his civvies, he's so tall and skinny. Like, how tall was he in real life?
I don't know, but he is I agree. I saw him in his clothes and I was like, wow, you're skinny, right? You look really good in that silk shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's almost the same height, I think, 6'3" as Bruce Boxleitner. And Bruce Boxleitner's tall, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bruce doesn't look tall.
According to IMDb, 6'3".
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. All right. So
Bruce Boxleitner is 6'2".
Okay. Kosh is dead. Long live Kosh. We've got a new Vorlon. This one seems to be a Rick with a P again. I thought of you, Karen. You're like, what? Are just all Vorlons jerks?
Yeah. And they even address that.
Yeah.
That he sounds just like Kosh. And Susan goes,
yeah, exactly. Karen, talk to me about your thoughts on the new Kosh.
Okay, so this was Ulkesh, apparently, was the name of this Vorlon. And from what I gather, those are the two Vorlons that accompanied Sinclair in the past.
That were there.
So I think it's interesting that he shows up on Babylon 5. I guess they feel like they have this connection to whatever's happening with the shadows. And I also was very interested to see, and we know that Minbari have these, like, part of their soul that it's a physical thing almost. So to hear that the Vorlons have that same thing was super interesting. And I guess the implication is that Sheridan has a part of Kosh.
Yeah.
And Lita doesn't. So I'd like to see where that goes. And we also know Sheridan is just full of stuff at this point, right? He's shifting in and out of time because of what happened to him. He has part of Kosh. He's going out with a Minbari. He is just all over the place. And I like to see that where is this going to go for him? What impact is it going to have moving forward, that he has all these different influences and experiences to take with him moving forward? And this Ulkesh, Kosh, whatever, is he wearing a slightly different outfit than Kosh?
Yes, I think so. It looks a little darker.
Yeah, and instead of it just going behind him like a flap or like wings or whatever, his goes up on the sides like horns almost.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're going to know this isn't Kosh, for one thing, or else Kosh changed his outfit. I don't see Kosh as a fashion plate. I don't know about you guys. So is he going to look more? I'm assuming he's not going to look more like Kosh in order for us to understand. He isn't, but
I thought the same question. Wait a minute. Do you not, are they just not going to change that? Right. Okay. Yeah.
There's no acknowledgement of the fact that he looks different, but he's going to be Kosh. And we are all Kosh. Come on.
Yeah.
You're the worst. Ulkesh / Kosh, you're the worst. I get it. I think we do need that ambassador on board, and to keep people from asking questions, number one, and also because they have played a big part in this whole thing. With the shadows and all that. And I just think the Minbari really want him there as well. So,
Lou, I want your thoughts, and then I was going to address some of Karen's.
Okay. My first thought was meet the new Kosh, same as the old Kosh.
Yes.
So that was interesting, and in some ways not unexpected. It's very Kosh is very much like the Gandalf character of the series, the Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf the White kind of deal going on there. I also noticed right away that his look was different, much more mobile looking, less bulky. So that curtain rod look is gone, and I'm sure whoever was inside that suit must appreciate that. Yeah, and I don't know if it was the same actor that was playing the character going forward, but yeah, it's interesting, and I like Karen's idea that this Kosh is one of the two Vorlons that was with Sinclair back in, was it 1,000 years ago?
Yeah.
Whenever Babylon 4,
900.
Yeah. So I like that idea quite a bit. And it might be jumping a little bit ahead, but the fact that Sheridan has a link with Kosh, the old Kosh, is interesting. It's got those Star Trek 2-3 vibes with Bones carrying Spock's Katra. So I like that. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. And what else were we talking about? We were just talking about the Vorlons in this?
Yeah, just the Vorlons for now. Yeah.
So it's interesting that this Vorlon is pretty interested in finding out if there's a piece of the other Kosh still around. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out between this new Kosh and Sheridan going forward in the series. So I'm curious about how that's all going to play out.
Side note.
Yes, please.
It is the same actor inside, Jeffrey Willerth, and it's also the same voice, R. Dwight Chambers.
So I couldn't remember if I was supposed to know that Kosh had left a piece of him in Sheridan, because let's just call it Chekhov's Vorlon piece, okay?
Yep.
And so I'm glad both of you guys picked that up, because I was like, should I know that's a true statement, but am I supposed to know it this time? Or did this, I know because in the future that becomes an important storyline. So I'm glad both of you guys went, oh yeah, I can tell.
The search for Kosh.
Yeah, this Kosh seems to be even more of a jerk, right? He's really mean to Lita, just truly, I'm going to do whatever I want. And so I remember being surprised, because it wasn't till watching the show 2 or 3 times where I go, Kosh isn't a good guy, right? Like first you're thinking, like my first time, I was like, oh yeah, Kosh is one of the good guys and everything. And then just as you watch, and I love your fresh eyes to it. No, this guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
Or they are a jerk. I don't know if Vorlons have gender.
If you had a teacher like that, you would really hate him, right?
Yeah. And I thought,
wax on, wax off.
What I wanted to say, I wanted to hear Sheridan go when he goes, I didn't know him as well. I damn sure tried, though. That isn't my fault. Yeah, I did think that, okay, by the way, they didn't give us your name. What is your name? Kosh. Yeah, no, I get it. But what do I call you when you're alone? Kosh. No, it was a little bit of who's on first, what's on second.
Right.
And that was nice.
The worst.
Yeah. I do want to mention you threw out there, Lou, that the scene of the captain walking outside in his spacesuit just to get away, which I do agree you is a different version of Franklin's, right? I thought that was a great mention. You guys connected that. But to be able to meet the Vorlon ship directly when we find out later that for telepaths you need to do a direct link,
Mhm.
that was a really nice visual.
And I
Yeah.
also had this weird feeling when the ship turned sideways and wrote something, I'm guessing in Vorlon, on the side of the ship for him to
Yeah.
see. And that's something interesting, I thought.
And
Yeah.
by the way, they're still just joking about that. I went to Lurker's Guide and was like, buy Coca-Cola. They haven't shared what that was supposed to be, right?
Oh, yeah.
Uh
I thought at for a second it said hello or something like that, but
yeah,
I I don't know if that was just somebody just thought that was a nice visual, but it
hmm
seemed to signify that there's a connection between
yeah,
Sheridan and the Vorlons.
hmm
Otherwise, how would the Vorlon pick up that Sheridan was outside that ship? Now, I don't know how sensitive they are. Probably
yeah,
they're quite sensitive, I would guess, but it
yeah.
was still interesting that they decided to show that image. I really thought that was probably the coolest shot in the whole episode.
Yeah, I agree. It was very cool. All right, Swedish meatballs. Turns out that is a
Teamwork,
universal
teamwork,
food.
teamwork.
IKEA everywhere.
Mhm.
They've invaded every part of the universe.
Damn those Swedes.
Uh,
So, is that something you guys make ever?
I don't make it, but
Meatballs. I
Yeah, Swedish
don't
meatballs?
that. Yeah, I make meatballs. I don't really think of them as being Swedish though. But,
Yeah,
they are different. They have a
yeah,
lighter sauce.
yeah.
I like, and this is not a paid advertisement, but I like the Stouffer Swedish meatballs, the frozen
okay,
ones. They're good. And
yeah,
also, every time you go to IKEA, if you don't get Swedish meatballs, there's something wrong with you.
yeah.
They're good. I think it's interesting that the first thought I had was IKEA is everywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, I tend to just put cream and mushroom soup over
Hmm,
meatballs. And
that's a
then,
similar thing. Yeah.
yeah, I know that when way back in my old life, I worked for Cisco Food Services, calling on restaurants and caterers. And often it's equal parts grape jelly, equal parts chili sauce
Hmm,
over that to make sweet and sour, to make the Swedish meatballs.
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
Yeah. So,
I
and I,
don't think that's the real recipe,
no.
but I can see where that approximates it a
Yeah.
little bit. I've never
So,
made them from scratch, but
yeah. So anyway, I thought that was uh and I did love the idea that it would be, I think if we found this out, it would either it would destroy the world, right? This
right.
is one of those things. I thought that was just a really fun thing.
And
Uh
also, it makes you wonder: is Jakar like trying everything
yes.
that gets made, which
hmm
is awesome. It
Yeah.
makes me think that he's a more Renaissance man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Sheridan has a new toy to go with his other new toy. So he's okay, let's take the White Star and let's take a telepath and let's see if we can kick Shadow's ass. So they're at the War Council. The War Council is like, this may not be the greatest idea in the world. We've been thinking we should have backup. They have this whole discussion. Letus agreed that she's going to go. And Jakar's captain is like, dude, I'm not going on no lost cause. We have to save we've got to save our bullets for our enemies, not the enemy of my enemy, right? Or the enemy of my friend. I thought that led to a great Garibaldi scene where he thumps the Book of Jacon again, like, here, I don't want this book anymore because it's just bullshit. You aren't living with this. And so let's talk up to the battle. So anything else you want, Karen, go first.
Yeah.
And then we'll discuss the battle separately.
So that dude's name is Nakal.
hmm
Not that anyone cares, but just so I get it in my head. But
Yeah.
I thought that it was selfish of Garibaldi, because they are helping to defend Babylon 5,
Yes.
not the White Star,
Yeah.
not missions, They are there to help defend Babylon 5. Sending people away from the station to help an away mission, quote unquote, is not in their purview, right? I thought Jakar was actually doing what he was supposed to do. I am keeping our people here because that's what they're here to do. And Garibaldi was throwing a little fit. He had a tantrum because his captain's out.
Yeah.
That's at least what I took from it, that Jakar is stymied. I don't know what you want me to do. And I think he was like torn in the middle, that Nakal wanted him to not even defend Babylon 5. Yeah. They need to go out. They need to be on patrol. They need to not be part of this war. Jakar is saying, I pledge to help Babylon 5. That's what I'm going to do. And then Garibaldi's, you need to go out on this mission and help protect. And so I feel like he's being torn in a million directions, but realizing in that last thing that he has to go out is a very Jakar, the new Jakar thing to do. I did wonder, they have a lot of telepaths on the station. We saw them all come in, and when Bester came on the ship, in order to stop Bester from reading them, why did they only take 4 telepaths out? Lita plus 3. They could have taken 6, 7, 8, right? Without really having a problem back on Babylon 5. Why didn't they take more? You would think they'd want to have more. And the fact that Lita took on the first one and was drained by it. Okay, why couldn't they have someone else there to help her focus? Hand wave kind of thing. Lita's powerful. Yeah, we see that. Did her gills help in any way? And I'm just saying, whatever she did with Kosh, did that help? And we got, what did she have? Her eye was bleeding and stuff. So we get to see exactly how formidable they are, but that they can be stopped in their tracks. They're afraid and destroyed, which is a cool thing, I thought. But the whole telepath thing it had me scratching my head. I like that we get that implication that they can help in the Shadow War. Why can't we do overkill? So. Yeah,
I agree. Lou, thoughts?
Yeah, Karen's put her finger on the point of that whole sequence that was bothering me as well, about the telepaths. And if I'm struggling, or I'm still nursing a theory that the Shadows and the Vorlons are either part of this, are the same race, or and just 2 different factions, but I can't quite go with that because if the Shadows are so afraid of telepaths, well, the Vorlons would be as well. And we haven't seen any indications of that yet. So I'm still struggling with that. And again, I'm just going to come back to, I'm nothing against the actor, but I just don't think that she sells those scenes when she's struggling to attack the Vorlon. I appreciated the fact that she bled from her eye instead of her nose, which is the usual go-to when somebody's experiencing some sort of mental stress or whatever. So that was good. And I'm not quite I still don't really know how the Shadows are reacting to the telepaths. Like, it seemed like the way they were showing the ships, it was like they were hitting an invisible wall and they couldn't get any closer. But if they're that afraid of the telepaths, why didn't they turn around and leave right away, kind of thing? So without knowing all the answers, it's really hard to evaluate that scene properly right now. But the main thing that's in play is that the Shadows are definitely scared of telepaths, and it'd be nice to find out why exactly. And so I'm looking forward to how that's going to play out. And why didn't any of the Minbari telepaths bleed from their eyes or something or whatever as well? So are they better telepaths than she is? I don't know.
My other question is, did they not need to do the direct, I've got to be like, that seems a little inconvenient. Okay.
How different are they?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's darn fine question. We'll have to find out. Any other thoughts?
No, I think that's it.
I'm good with that.
Okay. I think, the idea of, Sheridan is a soldier, and the best defense is a good offense, or it I do wonder if this is smart to poke the bear, right? Okay, I'm going to test this. What if it hadn't gone well, right? Okay, now what do we do?
And wouldn't you want to save that advantage for a really important battle or something like
Yeah.
that? It's that whole World War II story about they had that decryption device and they
Yeah.
didn't let the Germans know that they had it. So it's like, why would you give away that tactical
Yeah.
advantage?
Okay, listeners, if you want to complain about me giving away things, skip ahead 2 minutes. One of the complaints that some fans have is that Lita is not treated very well by the command staff, and she is treated more like a tool than a person. And this is the first instance of that, and continuing all the way through season 5. If you choose to watch the story that way, you can go, yep, that's it. Yep, they did it again, yet it again. So just that doesn't tell you the storyline, but it tells you maybe a way to look. And it does
Cox
seem
didn't treat her well either, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So this is there. They're going to go fight, they're going to do the battle. And I will ask you, is it good that if you throw all your power into a weapon, you have to wait X amount of minutes before you can do anything else? That seems.
And the White Star's supposed to be so great.
Yeah, that seems to be a bug, not a feature to me.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about the battle? I thought it was interesting. I love you guys did the blood from her eye. She's saying, if you're going to do this, do it now. I felt like in a little bit, Jakar coming was the whole trying to open a jar of pickles. I weakened it for you. I loosened it for you. Yeah. Like everyone else, then they're able to destroy the shadow vessel, and that they ran away.
It was that Han Solo coming in at the last minute to kill the Death Star thing, right?
Yeah.
Save the day kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they had already pretty much won. It's just he came in to help sweep up, which I mean, I think that's cool that Jakar is there backing them up.
Yeah.
So again, it shows his fortitude that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if anyone is counting, like I am, we're at 9 episodes for Marcus out of 18 and counting.
Okay. And
so
you're
my
like,
Marcus
hello?
watch is at 9.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to be in a little bit more.
Get you. All right.
That's just me.
No, I think that's a very good idea.
Let's watch.
Yes. Anything else from the battle we need to discuss?
I don't think so.
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think did I miss anything in this episode? We've got music, we've got a battle, we talked Swedish meatballs.
The worst.
Yes. We did have a nice little, I thought the scene between Garibaldi and Londo was funny. The same assurances I gave you that they're not going to come in the middle of the night and kill you. You've never given me that assurances. No, I haven't, have I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell he is not Londo's friend anymore.
No.
Yeah.
He is just putting up with him.
Yeah.
At this moment.
Yeah.
And in this episode, he's mad at both of them, Jakar and Londo.
Yeah. Yeah. So the main thing that I took away from the battle sequence was the fact that Lita picked up on that Sheridan had some sort of connection with Kosh, and she reported that to the new Kosh. So that's important. And we've already discussed that, but I just thought it was worth revisiting that. And I'm curious, is James coming back in another episode again? Because Franklin they're pretty well intertwined at this point. So it'd be weird if she doesn't show up in the next episode, but stranger things have happened, and I guess we'll see. But is Franklin still going to be walking about for the rest of the season or series, or what's going to go on with him? It'll be interesting to see. Or
has he had his awakening, or who knows?
Has he had his come to Jesus moment now?
He's still walking.
Okay. So I'll think of him as a walking dude.
Yes, he is out walking.
If that allows us to have more Marcus.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
More Mark and Sheridan.
Yeah.
I thought we've been talking about missing Garibaldi quite a bit, and we did get him in quite a few scenes in this episode, which I thought was refreshing.
Yeah,
So,
but
Yeah.
just as I mentioned off the top, because it's out of order, none of the things that he was involved with were relevant to the overall storyline. So
it's good to know that it's out of order.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. You want to go first, Karen?
Sure. I'll give it 7.5 Swedish meatballs.
Nice. All right, Lou.
Karen.
Oh.
You did it again.
Were you gonna do Swedish meatball?
Yeah, there's not much there
I know.
to pick from. I guess I'll just do 7 walkabouts.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is okay. JMS is the one who wrote the songs. I don't know if you guys knew that. All honor to Bruce Johnston and Barry Manilow. He wrote the songs on this one. Yeah, I think this is okay, but
I think they made the whole world sing though.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Songs?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So I'm gonna give it 7.5. It looks like mudslides in a beer glass.
It
Because
did.
that's what it looked like when she handed him.
It looked really gross.
Yeah, it did. And okay, that's what I'm gonna drink.
And he set it down.
Yeah. All right.
How about you could have done bags of candy. He had a
Yes,
bag
he could.
of
Yes.
whatever.
Or an orange, right? He ate an orange.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he did.
was it an orange or was it like a tangerine? It was smaller.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it could have been a
doesn't matter.
cutie.
Yeah,
A little
yeah.
cutie.
A
Tangerine.
Tangelo, tangerine.
Yeah. So, yeah.
One of those.
Clementine.
You should have a roll
Oh,
of
you-
lifesavers or something with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice. And we've also done the Nutri-Grain breakfast bars, right? Yeah. A lot of product
Lot of
placement
food
they
in
could
this
do here
episode.
that they don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Karen, I think we've got some feedback, don't we?
We do. 3 of them, actually. The first one's short and sweet from Nathan. Hi, guys. This episode is exciting, but very straightforward. And the most interesting thing to me always was the new Kosh. We've rarely seen anything personal from Vorlons. They were mostly mysterious and passive and occasionally strangely aggressive. So Kosh 2 strangling Lita, demanding knowledge if Kosh 1 was with her, is another rare sign of humanity and not a good one. Kosh 1 didn't start to attack anyone until he either confronted his enemies, shadows back when they first appeared, or until his own life was at risk. This one is much more violent, and red eye coupled with a cold palette of the costume made him look like a villain when I first watched the show. Franklin being horny and returning to his quarters to hook up despite being on a walkabout is nothing new. Although the revelation in the end is very sad. I didn't see where the story was going at all with regards to Nathan. Yeah, and I think this is me.
Sure.
Kosh was also violent in other cases when the people were going to get that drug or whatever in the first season, and he ended up exploding their ship before the technology could get anywhere. He definitely had his bursts of violence in the past, but mostly shown as like this guru type, the worst. Anyway, on to Texas on the Shock. And it's a long one, so let me break it up a little bit. So we possibly have a weapon to use against the shadows. We think we do, and the only way to make sure is to go out and confirm it. The test is successful despite a close call, but it also marks the first time the League sends forces out in a joint operation. And Jakar is the one who pulled them all in. How exactly did he convince Nakal to go along with it? I imagine it was something along the lines of taking the fight to their true enemy, the ones who made the Centauri so powerful. Here we learn that Vorlons can put pieces of themselves in other beings, which is apparently what was happening at the end of passing through Gethsemane. Lita was returning part of Kosh to the whole, but it seems there might still be part of him out there. Brent at Babylon 5 for the first time thought that the singer was the other self he was supposed to meet. In a way, I don't think he's completely wrong. They are foils for each other, each suffering in different ways, but having the opposite problems. Franklin has taken too many drugs, while Kayla needs them just so she won't be overwhelmed by pain. For Franklin, I think this serves as a reminder of why he got into medicine in the first place. Part of his problem is that he got so bogged down with everything happening that he forgot why he was there in the first place. So this provided clarification of purpose. If you notice, the shots of him through the glass were fractured and cloudy, but at the end we see him where the image is clear but still fractured. He still has to find himself. Where will he go from here? We will have to see. In the meantime, let's brush up on our martial arts for the philosophically inclined. So there's our hint for the next episode.
Yes, absolutely.
This is the Texas on the Shock signing off. Until Zaveni in Valence. I was going to say, there was also something in this episode, I forgot to mention it, that he gets to see that MedLab is functioning fine without him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he won't stress himself out so much.
Yeah. And by the way, I thought the comment about the domestic abuse victim is really spot on.
Yeah.
That is certainly a very sad subject, but there is that where she's defending them and doing everything, even though both Koshes have treated her poorly. Yeah.
And I think that's cool. I had no idea that was Lita returning part of Kosh to Kosh in that episode where we see whatever that is going on between.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. I hope you fixed enough Swedish meatballs for everyone, starts David. Definitely step down from the past couple of weeks. In this case, the episode was moved back so that War Without End would fit better in the PTEN network's somewhat bizarre scheduling. In a sense, it's the follow-on for Interludes and Examine. This week we meet Kosh's replacement, and he's just as chatty and straightforward as the original. However, once behind closed doors, we see how he treats Lita, telling us that he is definitely not. How will this different Kosh affect things in the future? We see Garibaldi checking up on Franklin in the Zocalo. Franklin explains the concept of it all. Not entirely sure I buy it, but it's his religion. Later, we see him hanging out in a bar, listening to a talented singer singing really bad songs. Note to JMS, don't give up the day job for a songwriting career. Question. Isn't it a bad idea for someone trying to recover from an addiction to be where they can easily substitute another addiction? Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sheridan is coming up with a plan for testing the ability of a telepath to stop the shadows. He meets Lita to discuss his idea, and she hears Kosh's voice during their discussion. Since we know Kosh was in Sheridan's mind since he was killed, did he leave something of himself in Sheridan's mind? Or was Lita having a hallucination? Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we see Franklin and Kaylin in bed. She asks if she can get her some medicine. Somewhat understandably, he turns her down. Later, we see her filching his identicard, returning just in time to pass out, waking him up. He immediately assumed she had OD'd on the medicine in her hand. Hughes, why didn't she say, I've got a script for it, or go ahead with the whole truth? Question 2 seemed that JMS didn't completely future-proof B5. Heck, it used to take 4 different forms of authentication just to check email at work. I would think that in the future it would take more than an ID card for dangerous drugs. Yeah. We find out that Kaylin is dying of neural paralysis and doesn't have long to live. Minor quibble, there's more of a symptom than a disease. Could have just easily said Dr. Kyle diagnosed her with XYZ syndrome 2 years ago. We think the neural paralysis is terminal within 6 months. She begs him not to send her away. Question, to where? Did she mean off the station or leaving her? Hopefully it was off the station because we see her singing another bad song as Franklin walks away. Will we see her again? I promise next week will be short, can express my opinion on the A-plot with a single JMS quote, and that covers over half the episode. Till then, David.
Yeah, I take it that he wanted her to go to Earth.
Right.
Because there would be
to get better treatment.
Yeah, I think that's what I think we wanted. And she chose not to do that. That's good. Anything on the YouTube page, Lou?
Yeah, there's a little bit more background about why Garibaldi and Sinclair weren't on screen together. And apparently it was something to do with Jerry Doyle had developed a habit of needling Michael. So
okay,
without really knowing what his deal was, but I guess he got a kick out of winding him up, and JMS just didn't want to have that hassle while doing that episode, those 2 episodes, which is too bad for the series, unfortunately. So there's that. And what else? The Lynn being a descendant of Valen has not actually come up in the show, but so that's interesting. What else have we got?
And we also write, according to Lurker's Guide, Valen didn't have children, so I don't know how we could think that. So I don't know. We'll see.
There's somebody else in here that disputes that.
Yeah.
And he says, if he has sex, says that he did have children after leaving Minbar, apparently.
Okay.
So that's how there's some mix of human and Minbari DNA. The other point that was interesting is we were wondering how, when Londo and Jakar were choking each other, how they would have killed each other. And Percy's owner puts forth the postulate that the keeper, which is the parasite on Londo's body, was able to continue choking Jakar even though Londo had died. So he's like using Londo's body to do the choking. So that's how it was possible.
Okay, that makes sense
for both of them to die in that choking scene. So I thought that was pretty solid.
Yeah, I think that's a good theory. Yeah, I like that. Good.
And that's it.
All right. We would love feedback. To send us an email at, oh, damn it, I had it right in front of me.
jklb5podcast@gmail.com. Right?
Thank you. And Karen, if someone wants to reach you, how can they?
I'm at Elevaria in the various social media sites. Hit me up there. And there's a link in my Twitter bio to my blog at which you could find a bunch of.
All right. And Lou?
You can find this podcast on YouTube at Lou's Reviews, which you probably already know if you're listening to it. And you can also find our other podcasts there. JKL Media, we're currently doing 12 Monkeys, getting near the end. And then also have interviews with writers on my Writers Podcast, as well as a Stephen King podcast, which has been sadly neglected. But hopefully in the future, we will get together as a trio to do our review of King's latest novel, Holly. And on Twitter, you can find me at Lou W. Sitzma.
All right. I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter, aka X. Please let us know what you're thinking. We would love for you to go to iTunes, rate and review the podcast. Make sure you are giving us love on our YouTube channel. We will be back next week to talk Gray 17 is Missing. And I've been saying that I don't like this one, but I'm now debating whether I'm misremembering the episode. So that will be interesting.
I've heard it's the best episode of the show at all.
There we go. Hey.
That's quite the misremember, Jesse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard that, just so you guys know.
I hear it's the Jeremiah Crichton.
Oh, no.
That's a little Farscape humor for everyone.
The alternative factor.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. I hope you are checking us as we talk 12 Monkeys. That has been so much fun. As Lou mentioned, we are getting toward the end. But for now, be safe, be kind. We will talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right.